Again, I'm going to our CRUD component, user component, where we have done the CRUD application by using reactive form. Now, when we created this object, here we said any. So when we use any, I said like when we have to use any, what's the scenario when we have to use the any?
If we don't know about the declaration like integer or object,
No, give me the proper answer.
Anyone.
When
When we don't
data
know
type.
like from
What data
what
will be
type of
stored?
data we'll get.
Yeah,
see,
type of data.
see, just understand your answer now. Here, listen my answer. So we have to use any when we don't know what type of data we are going to store inside this variable. It's very easy. In interview, it's very important that what are the words you choose. Your sentence should be very simple, not fancy word. No interviewer wants your fancy word. He just needs that you know the answer. Make your proper sentence that other person will quickly understand like what you are trying to say, right? When we have to use any, when we don't know what kind of data we are going to store in this variable, that's it, right? But now coming back to our actual point, so we know na in user object what kind of data we were going to save, because we know the API, right? What data that API needs, that also we were knowing, right? So we know what type of data I have to send. So if we know there are two ways. Instead, we should not use any first rule. Okay. But instead of using any, we have to create a class of these properties. Just like we have a class over here, right? So we have to create one more class of where we will have these variables. Okay. So now inside app folder, I will be creating a folder that will be models. Okay, so now those guys who are from .NET and the Java, what do we do in model? Same thing like it, same thing we do it over here also. Okay, so let's create new file. It's a user.ts. It's a simple TypeScript file. Simple.ts means simple TypeScript file. Inside this TypeScript file, we have to create a class. Class, our class name, user. Okay, whenever we are creating a class, our class name should start with capital. This is just a standard we follow, not mandatory, but when we work in a project, we have to follow some standards. So this is one of them. Class name should start with capital character. Okay. Then, as I said, whatever the properties we have it over here, we have to create a class where we have this as a property. So what's the definition of class? What's the definition of class? Guys, even though you are an Angular developer, you are going to face that object-oriented questions also. That solid principle and everything. Nowadays, everyone is asking everything, right? So what's the normal definition of class?
It means like where we have properties that we will for which we will make object or
Right.
instance.
See, class is nothing but class will
Different of
contain
object.
properties and its method. What class has na? Our variables and some methods, correct? A more standardized definition will be class is nothing but a collection of member, means our properties and its functions. Okay. Now, so in this
Yes.
class, we are going to create properties or member containing this variable. So user ID, colon. What should be the data type? Number,
Integer.
Number.
right?
Number.
Number. Okay. Here, when we create a class in our variable, we add public or private, or we provide a data type also like this. So same thing you can do it over here also. What type of we have three types of declaration. What's this?
Public, private.
When we create a variable, we can create variable by using three ways. What's this way?
Initialization.
No, no. Where we initialize? We just declared it.
It's
Okay.
only a
Initialize just
declaration.
means when we use equal to sign.
Okay, initialization.
Yeah.
right? This is initialization. Na? So this is declaration.
Only
Okay.
declaration.
Then username. What are the fields you have? String, email,
String.
full name and password.
String.
Okay. So we have created a class. Inside that class, we have created some variable. Now variable will say like we are not initialized, right? So it's a class, so we can have a access of constructor. Inside this constructor, we have to initialize those variable. Why we should not use like this? We can initialize the properties like this also, na? Then why we have to create the constructor? Working
Because
guys?
when we make an instance of a class, we
इंस्टेंस
can
बनाना
pass in
चाहते
the
हैं.
parameter.
No, I'm
So we can
saying
pass those values from the parameter by
no,
using new user. Then we can pass those parameter.
that is from Java or .NET. I'm asking about an Angular. Okay, let me complete, then I will explain. See,
वैल्यू पास करना चाहते हैं सर. अभी जब
नहीं
डेटा
नहीं
वहां से आएगा तो वैल्यू हम पास करेंगे इसमें.
नहीं देखो, एक तो मैं कैसे कर सकता हूँ, ऐसे भी कर सकता हूँ, राइट? बट आई एम सेइंग वी
Yes.
शुड नॉट डू लाइक दिस. Okay, we have to initialize all the properties into constructor. Okay, let me first complete, then you will understand. User ID is equal to 0 and all the properties with empty.
String.
Okay, so whatever the properties we were having in that particular object, we have created a class of that, and in constructor we have initialized the properties also. Okay, now instead of using any, I have to remove this. Now I will be providing a data type. What the data type? Our class user. Meaning inside this variable, what type of properties I'm going to have? This properties. So this is, we are strongly binding this variable to a particular class. That is called strongly typing. This word is from .NET. I don't know if it is in Java also. Strongly typing means binding a variable to a particular data type, strongly typing. Okay. Since it's a class, now we can initialize it by using new operator. Okay. Now, if we don't initialize these properties like this, and if we initialize like over here, we have to, all those properties from our class will be by default undefined. All these properties from this class object will be undefined. But since when we do like this, when we create a class object by using new operator, our constructor get initialized and all our
Yes.
property will be properly initialized.
सर मतलब हमें वहां वैल्यू पास करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी ना.
नहीं.
हाँ,
That we
इसीलिए
do in
हम
Java or .NET.
Sir, if we pass the value, it will get override, right? By using
We don't have to
this.
pass. See, in Java and .NET, you might be doing like that, constructorized parameter or whatever. But in TypeScript, we don't have to do like that. We are initializing variable, we are creating a variable, and in constructor, we are initializing them with the default value, whatever the default value we need. And whenever we create an object like this, with using new operator, that it will invoke our constructor and all the properties will be properly initialized. Understood? Okay.
Sure.
So whenever now you have to create an object and you have to provide a data type to it, instead of using any, we have to create a class. Whatever the field that object is going to have, we create properties like this. In constructor, we initialize. And then instead of any, we bind it. Okay. Now, what's the benefit of it? So previously, if you remember, when we used to do this username dot, see, now you get all the properties IntelliSense. Okay, let's go back to none, any again. I'm making this with any. Okay. Now, if you see, we don't get property IntelliSense. It's not suggesting like what properties we have. Okay, because we said any over here. So when we say any, this property, this variable can have anything, na? Right?
Yes.
So you don't get what fields are there in the object IntelliSense. But same like that, if you provide a proper data type, right? Now it knows like what properties you have in this variable. So now all the properties you will get IntelliSense. Understood the benefit of
Yeah.
it? Now there is no way that you will be making the spelling mistake. Okay? Understood?
सर सर क्लास की जगह हम इंटरफेस नहीं बना सकते थे क्या?
नहीं बताता हूँ इंटरफेस कब बनाना है. ओके,
यस
तो ये क्लियर हुआ कैसे करते हैं. जो भी अपने को ऑब्जेक्ट बनाना है उसका प्रॉपर्टीज बनाएंगे और कंस्ट्रक्टर में ऐसे इनिशियलाइज करोगे. तो ये
जी
कब
सर.
करोगे? सबसे पहले एपीआई देखोगे. लेट्स से ये ऐड क्वेरी की एपीआई. तो ये ऑब्जेक्ट सेंड करना है, तो ये प्रॉपर्टीज का पहले तुम क्लास बना लोगे. ओके, नाउ
सर
दैट्स
मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ
सर सर हम तो वैसे मैंने काम किया था, वो इंटरफेस यूज करते थे इस पे, वो
हाँ हाँ
डिफरेंस क्या है?
बताता हूँ मैं. ओके, सो क्लास इज क्लियर टू एवरीवन हाउ टू क्रिएट अ क्लास.
यस
Now,
सर.
यस.
what we did in model folder, we have created one class, one simple TypeScript file. In that, we have created one class. Okay. Just like that, I can create, where was that vendor? I can create another class also. So vendor has this, when it comes to reactive form, now we don't have to actually create the class, but I'm just explaining you. So over here, after this class, again, I can create one more class. Wait. How come we are using it over here? How it is accessible? We didn't add the export keyword. How come we are able to access it? Is it giving error? Okay. So here it is giving error. No, we are not getting error. How come? See, here we created a class. This class is inside another file. Okay. And this class we are using in another file, right? Where we have the import of it. Import is also not there. Then how it is accessing?
सर आपण .ts मध्ये एक्सपोर्ट क्लास लिहितो.
No. But we didn't write it now. And this user, we didn't import it also. How it is understanding?
Yeah, the intelligence is coming up in HTML as well.
How it is understanding? I didn't import it. Write it over here. But how it
You
is getting
see,
that?
even we are not getting a error on 19 number line because
So
user class we didn't import.
where it is giving compiler cannot find user. Let's stop and run it again. It should give the compilation error only. See, your class is in one file, and that file you are something from your this file you are trying to use in another file, right? So it should give error. It is understanding user. We removed the user. Now why it is saying user?
ये सेव नहीं हुआ क्या?
We removed user, but still it is saying user only. See, it is over here, it is giving the error. Okay, but we should have got the error over here only, but I don't know why. Okay, now
सेव
let
नहीं
it be.
किए इसलिए वो यूजर ही दिखा रहा है.
फाइल सेव है क्या सर? ये
I don't know. Save है. Okay, save नहीं है.
सेव नहीं है वो.
Still user ही दिख रहा है. Oh, now user class. Okay, so see in error, in compilation error, we are getting error saying it cannot find the name user class. Means if we are using something from another file in another file, first we have to import it. देखो ना ये क्लास कहाँ पे है? अपने ये फाइल में है. So if we have to use this in another file, first we have to import it. But I don't know like why it's not giving red line over here. So if we are going to use it over here, first we need to import it. So I will write import curly bracket from dot slash then
Maybe,
dot slash
sir, we have to make changes in the Angular JSON.
might be something is there.
The new stuff came and we don't know.
Not allowing to import it also. Why? Basically, we have to write export over here. Okay. So export means we are saying like this class, you can use it outside this file. When you add the export keyword to a class, you are allowing this class to be used in another file apart from this, outside of this file. Okay. So whenever you create a class, you have to add the export keyword. Why we are not suggesting? Now it is suggesting. See, now we are getting the error. It is not able to understand this. I don't know, like compiler issue or what. Now it will ask us to add the import. Okay.
After export शायद error दिखा रहा है.
I don't know. Understood? So whenever we create class, you have to add the export keyword. But let's say you created this class into component itself. After this class also you can create, right? Then you don't need the export keyword because you are in the same file, right? If I remove this, you have created this class in the same file. So in same file, you can use it directly. You don't need to write the export keyword. When you will write the export keyword, when you want to use this class outside this file, then only export keyword will be mandatory. समझा सबको? एक्सपोर्ट कीवर्ड कब लगेगा? जब तुम्हारी ये फाइल, तुम इस फाइल से, जब तुम्हारा ये जो भी है, वेरिएबल है, क्लास है, इंटरफेस है, इस फाइल के बाहर यूज करना है, तभी तुमको एक्सपोर्ट कीवर्ड लगेगा. ओके.
सर इसके साथ प्राइवेट पब्लिक प्रोटेक्टेड ये सब कैसे यूज करेंगे?
ये प्रॉपर्टी के यहाँ पे आएगा ना, पब्लिक प्राइवेट.
नहीं
जो
सर, पूरा
क्लास
क्लास जो होता है ना, क्लास, पब्लिक क्लास.
नहीं.
अब जैसे एक्सपोर्ट लिखे हैं तो अगर प्राइवेट कर दे.
डॉट नेट का मत कंसिडर करो यहाँ पे. डॉट नेट में तुम्हारा क्लास ऑब्जेक्ट टोटली डिफरेंट है, यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है. TypeScript is not a purely object oriented language. Some of the concept only it supports. Okay.
Okay.
Again, user object, what is it? It's a variable. So here you can make it public or private. Okay. Fine. So whenever we create a class, we have to create it like this with export keyword. We have to import it, then only we can use it. Fine. What I was telling. Yeah, that's only because if we don't provide the export, it will provide you the error only. Okay. Let's removing it. See, here only you will get the error like is not a model saying you didn't export it. So you cannot use it over here. Okay. So you need to have an export keyword in front of the class. Okay. This is one way. Another way is either you can create a class or you can create a interface. Okay. Now, whatever you know from Java or .NET interface, that is different. Here it is different totally. Okay. Now I will create one more file. So let's say new file vendor.ts. Now here in vendor component, we are going to get the list of vendor that we are going to store inside this variable. Here we are using any. Instead of using any, we will create a list of, we will create an interface of these properties. So again export. Now instead of class, we have to use interface. Then our interface name.
Export की spelling गलत हो.
When we work in an industry, whenever we have to create, as I said, whenever you create a class, your class name should be capital. And when you create an interface, your first name should start with I, denoting this is an interface. I vendor list. Okay. Now here, whatever the properties we have, vendor ID, colon, number, vendor name, colon, string, contact number, colon, string, email ID, colon, string. Okay. Now, this is the interface. Interface doesn't have a constructor. Only class has the constructor. Okay. Here, instead of any, now I will be using I vendor list. Understood? Now the benefit of it, providing a data type to the, sorry, not in user list. No? In vendor, we have to provide over here. Vendor. So once I select it, import will be automatically added. Okay. So the benefit of it, in your for loop, you get all the properties IntelliSense. Okay, because you strongly type that.
So
Clear?
what's the difference between object class and interface then?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So now when we have to create the class and when we have to create the interface. Suppose you are creating a variable. Okay. Where is our you are creating a variable, and in that variable you are going to bind to your template form or reactive form. You will create class because class has the constructor, and by default in a single place we can initialize all the field. Okay. Whenever we are going to create a variable, and that variable we are going to bind it to the form, so we have to always go for a class because we have the constructor. In a single place we can initialize those. But user list, this is not, we are not going to use this to bind to the form. It just we are using this variable to store the data. So here you can go for a interface. Okay, but it's not like for storing a data. If your variable has an array, you can create only interface. You can create class as well. Okay, this also you can bind it over here, but specific because if you create a class, you have to initialize the properties also, right? But if you know that you are going to use this, whatever you are creating, to bind it to the array, so why to go for a class? Just use the interface. Okay, understood? So
ये
for
सब मतलब
forms,
फॉर्म के
go
केसेस
with the
में ही हमें
class.
यूज करना है ना, क्लास को
Sorry,
ओनली फॉर फॉर्म केसेस। अगर फॉर्म से बाइंड कर रहे हैं तो
no, ऐसा नहीं है, लिमिटेशन नहीं है, अरे पे भी यूज
हम्म,
कर सकते हो ना.
अच्छा
Let's
अच्छा, मैं
say
समझ गया।
you have created a class, okay, and
हम्म
in the get API also you are going to get the same. So why you will again create the interface? You got it, no,
हम्म,
already created. So use it only. Understood?
यस सर।
Okay.
सर इंटरफेस इनिशियलाइज नहीं करता और
क्लास को कंस्ट्रक्टर होता है, सिंपल.
क्लास में
इंटरफेस भी,
इनिशियलाइज कर
इंटरफेस
डिक्लेयर
वी कैन
इनिशियलाइज कर देता है वैल्यू को।
इंटरफेस को भी इनिशियलाइज कर सकते हैं. सी लेट्स से वेंडर ओबीजे कोलन आई वेंडर लिस्ट दे रहा हूं मैं यहाँ पे. ऐसे करते हैं, मैं भूल गया. Now, see the difference. If you are using class in a single place, you have that initialization. But instead of that, if you have interface, wherever you are going to use, you need to initialize like this.
Okay,
Now
everywhere.
understood the reason why we have to go for a class in case of
Yes.
forms.
Yes.
Okay, because interface doesn't have a constructor, right? A single place we cannot. Yeah, obviously here we can do it. Not able to do it. Okay, property initializer is not there. That is in the class.
डिक्लेयर ही
Understood?
कर।
So here we cannot do it. So initialization we have to do in the component itself. So wherever you are using this interface, in every component, repeated thing you need to do. But in case of class, you already have it in a single place. Clear? This is the
Yes.
reason.
Yeah, that's the benefit. I understand. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So that's why whenever you are creating a class or interface, make sure like if that variable, whatever the data type you are doing, if that variable is going to be binded in the form, then only go for a class or interface only. Fine. Clear है सबको?
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
Sagar, Rahul, Rajesh.
Yes,
Clear?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is an interview question. Everyone will face after more than 3 years of experience if you are applying. Everyone will ask you because you are going to decide na, when you have to go for a class or interface. If you don't know the reason, Every time you might be creating class or every time you might be creating an interface, right? So there is a reason why we have got two things. If there was no any reason, there won't be a two things. Only class will be there. There was no need for the interface. Okay.
So in simple words, still I got confused again.
Right. Clear this class and interface. So we have to never use any. Always create class or interface. Whenever you are submitting a machine test, this becomes very mandatory. You should not use any. That's the if you are using TypeScript and if you are using any, it's like doing a crime. Okay, so never you have to use any. Clear
सर
everyone?
सर अगर एपीआई से डेटा भेज रहे हैं या एपीआई से डेटा ले रहे हैं या
Hmm.
किसी वेरिएबल में स्टोर भी कर रहे हैं हम, तब भी हमें एनी की जगह सब जगह इंटरफेसेस या फिर क्लासेस ही
You
बनानी
know
है।
ना what type of data you are going to get from API.
ओके, तो
Every
उसी
time
टाइप
you are
का।
going to hit, same type of data you are going to get, right?
ओके।
Yeah, it is possible. Like in some cases from API, you might sometimes you will get this field, sometimes you might get one or two field more. It is possible. In that case, you have to go in. If the API response is also dynamic, sometimes you will get this field in the array of objects, sometimes you are getting less field. Then you have to go for any.
ओके, मतलब अगर डिफरेंट रिस्पॉन्सेज में आता है तो ओके,
Right.
समझ
Sir,
गया।
let's say in the backend, guy made put two new fields in the object, right? But
You
the
have to
front
increase
end
it.
guy
You have
forgot
to
to do it.
increase it.
There will be a problem.
No, it won't break. But you cannot use it, no?
We cannot access because we
Yeah.
strongly typed.
Right. Okay. Let's say we have created these properties and email ID I don't want to initialize. If I don't initialize, it will say error like this. So we can mark this property as optional by adding a question
Null
mark
check.
over here.
क्वेश्चन मार्क।
Okay. So when you add a question mark outside about after this property saying this property is optional. So by default, you don't have to initialize it. Same thing over here also. If I add a question mark over here, so now in vendor component, if I don't initialize vendor name, it won't throw you the error. But if I remove the contact number, it will throw you the error because that's we didn't add the question mark. So in class also we have the question mark and in interface also we have the question mark. Clear?
Yes.
यस।
Everyone, others?
Yes, sir.
Fine. What else was there?
Sir, we can also have functions in interface as well, just like in class.
That I also didn't figure out. I think we can.
Okay.
Okay. Now, second concept, where we are getting error. Property rule does not exist. Where is the rule? Okay, here we specified. See the error now. If I go to the UI, in UI I'm getting error saying role does not exist on type user class. I'm getting this error in HTML file, line number 19. Okay. So over here, line number 19. See, here I'm trying to access a role. Now inside my class, I don't have a role property, right? Because in this API, for post, we have some different object and in get, we have some different object. See, this is my post object. Here we don't have role. But if we check the get user, we will get role and every other things. See, so many things are we are getting, right? So object which you are sending to the post API it is different and in get API you are getting something different. So you cannot use the same class over here in array. So then you can create the interface. Understood? So if property is not there, you cannot use it in the HTML. It will throw you the error. Okay. Now, so let me slow the network now. So we can slow the network by going into the developer mode, network, And instead over here, no throttling is there. Here we can make it as slow 4G. Fine. Now, even though my internet speed is proper, on the browser, it will be slow. If I go to the vendor page, on the page load, we are making the API call. Let's go to user. Okay, so now even if we make the slow, it will take some. Let me check this. Let me add a custom one. We can provide a custom speed also, okay? 5 kbps. And let's go to user till it is coming quickly. What I want to do, if your API call is taking some time, okay, here you will have empty screen, right? You won't get to see anything unless API call data is there. So by that time, if API call data is not there, API call is in progress, we can show loader over here. That is what mostly we do when we work on an Angular project or any web project. Whenever API call is in progress, we have to show the loader so that user will know, yes, something is going on. And once we get the API call data, once API call is success, we have to hide the loader and then we have to show the cards or the table, whatever we have. So what will be the logic to do this? Those who are already working, you don't have to say. New guys. What will be the logic? You understood the task, what we need to do? If API call is in progress, we have to show loader over here. And once we get the data, we have to hide the loader and cards will be visible. What will be the logic? What will be the logic? Guys, what will be the logic? Shivraj, Sagar, Shripad. You understood the task, right? See, let me make it offline. How we make it slower? Slow for you also wait time. User. Okay, so see now. Currently, let me do again. When I navigate back to the user page, see API call is in pending. Currently, we don't had anything. It was blank over here. So instead of blank, we have to show loader over here. Saying we have to inform user that something is loading. And once we get the data, then our card should come. Right? So how do we do it?
सर युजर लिस्ट मध्ये जोपर्यंत डेटा येत नाही तोपर्यंत आपण ॲनिमेशन ते करू शकतो.
Okay, so we can add a for loop. We can add a check over here by checking the length of the user list. Is it? If the user list is 0, we have to show the loader, and if user list is there, means we got the record, then we can show this like this, no?
हा सर.
But that will break if from API call you don't get user, it is 0. Then always loader will be there, right? कंसिडर करो एपीआई कॉल से डेटा ही नहीं आया, एम्प्टी अरे आया, तो तुम्हारा हमेशा लोडर ही दिखते रहेगा, बट एपीआई कॉल तो हो गया ना तुम्हारा.
तो सेट टाइम आउट, वो टाइम आउट का लगाना पड़ेगा.
नहीं,
एनजीएफ यूज कर सकते हैं, बूटस्ट्रैप का लोडर
ऑब्वियसली
लगा.
एनजीएफ यूज करेंगे, लेकिन कंडीशन क्या रहेगी?
स्टेटस कोड पण चेक करायला
कंडीशन हम लोग एपीआई से पहले उसको फॉल्स रखेंगे, एंड जब एपीआई का रिस्पांस हमारे पास आ जाएगा,
राइट,
देन हम उसमें
कंडीशन विल बी, तुम्हें कोड कैसा लिखना है कि एपीआई कॉल इज इन प्रोग्रेस और नॉट. You have to write a code like if API call is in progress or not. If API call started, you have to create a variable. You will make it true, and once you get the response, you will make it false. So now you know by that variable that when API call is in progress. If that variable is true, you will show the loader. Otherwise, you will show the data. Okay. Now.
बाकी हम इंटरसेप्टर में भी कर सकते हैं, each and every
Yes.
API.
Yeah. So that will be overall the application, not a component specific, right? So is, or let's say is API, or let's say simple is show loader. By default Boolean value is equal to false and spacing. Okay. When we have to make this variable true,
Before calling the
before
API.
calling means over here. So this dot, this variable is equal to true. And when we have to make it false,
After
here.
45 line.
Over here, is it correct? Before making API call, I'm making it true. And once the API call is done, I'm making it false. Is it correct?
No, sir. Inside that, I think.
Inside it, na.
Inside.
See, how does JavaScript or TypeScript execute? Line by line. So this line will execute, this line will execute, suddenly this line will execute. It won't wait like API call data is there. How do we know API call data we received? Inside subscribe, na? So
Yes.
once we get the API call, then we need to make it false. So inside it, we will do it. Okay.
Otherwise, asynchronously JavaScript.
Right. Asynchronous. It won't wait for API call to happen. It will by default. Let's try this also. Then you will understand. Okay. Here only I'm making it. And this variable, I will print it for now. So about this. So see now. G. Okay. If I go to the user, see, this is false only. API call was in pending, but still it was false because this line will execute. After that, this line will execute, and then immediately this line will execute. So this variable we have to make it false once we receive the API call data. Okay. See now. I think we have to pause. Now see pay attention to that property over here. Once I navigate, see, oh, we got the data quickly. Okay, fast 3G we did. Wait. 3G. Once we navigate to the user, see, by default it is true. And once we get the API response, then it got false. Understood?
Yes.
Now we can make use of Bootstrap loader or something, or we can put the image also. Progress bar for spinner. Spinner. We have this loader. So I will just copy this. Now in HTML, instead of call 12, I will add in call 12, I will be adding this spinner. Now the visibility of this div will be based on this variable. So if this variable is true, then we have to show this call. Else, we have to show this for loop. Okay. So if this variable is true, we have to show this loader div. Otherwise, our for loop will start, which will iterate on the user list. Okay. Save. Now, if I go to the user, see, loader is visible. Once we got the data, our cards are visible. Understood?
Yes, sir. Must.
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what technology, if it's a mobile app, web application, Windows application, this logic is everywhere. As I said, always say this, logic is not limited to your technology. Logic is universal, right? It's not related to any technology. That's why whenever company hires you, they will check your basic. If you are a web technology person, they will only check JavaScript, right? According to different language, syntax is going to be changed little bit. But basic concepts are like that only, na? Right. I recently got migrated to another project. There they are using extension JS. They didn't ask me also, like, are you familiar with extension JS? When I landed to the project, they said like we have 3 projects. One is with Angular, one is with React, and one small application is there where we have using extension JS. They have given 2 or 3 weeks of time from me. They are not assigning tickets me for that project. Just learn it and then we will assign you tickets. Right. So that's why JavaScript should be very clear, not just basic concept that hoisting, closure, callback, prototype, ES6 feature, whatever we have, modules, right? These things should be very clear. So understood first concept loader. How do we show the loader? So wherever you are showing the data, right? And that data means not drop down like we did over here, na? Not over here. Here you don't have to show it. And here you cannot show it also, na? Right? So here you don't have to show the drop down. But if you are showing the data into the table, you have to show the loader. Understood everyone? It's a simple variable. By doing that variable true and false, you achieved it. Okay?
Yes.
One more. Now, here, just pay attention properly. Now, user filled the data. We have this save user button. I clicked it. I didn't understand what is happening. See, one more time. I clicked it. API call is in progress. Again, I clicked it. Means sometimes might happen na, that once you click, API might take some time, right? But user, if we don't show user like something is happening, he might click 2-3 times. So see, multiple API is going. Is it correct?
No,
No, sir.
No, na?
the previous has to be cancelled.
Unnecessary duplicate API calls are there. So once I click, we have to inform user, yes, something is going on. So in the button itself, we can show the loader. And once API call is success, then we can hide that. Okay. So for that, we have buttons, right? Sorry, in the spinner only we will have it.
We can disable the button as well, right?
And disable it also, but normally we have to show the loader. Disable again, it's like confusing. Array, nothing is happening. Because clients are not intelligent, na? We are not building an application for ourselves. We are building it for another person. We cannot
But in
expect that
my
they will understand.
last project, they were
Yeah,
disabling button.
as I said, if whatever the application you are creating, it's a product. Everyone is going to use it. Either farmer, either a teacher, either a software developer, everyone is going to use it. Now, can you disable that button?
बट सर लोडर दिखाने
That's
के
a
साथ
wrong
तो
approach.
करना ही पड़ेगा.
Hmm?
लोडर अगर दिखा भी देंगे तभी इवेंट तो डिसेबल
Yeah,
करना ही पड़ेगा.
I will cover it. Wait. So you can disable the button, but if your users are intelligent, then it's okay. But if your users are not intelligent, one time they will click and another time they will say like nothing is happening. I'm not able to click. Correct, na? It can happen,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So that's why we go for a loader. Okay. Let's use this pan.
PHP की साइड पे ये लोडर आता है ब्लिंक वाला.
Right. Now we have this button. Inside this button, we have to show this spinner. But now if we just add the spinner, all the time it will be visible. When we have to show the spinner, once I click on this button, means API call is in progress. And once we got the response, then we have to hide it. So we will need one more variable. Okay. So is API in progress. Colon boolean by default false. Okay. When we have to make this variable true, once our save API call is in progress, means over here. So this variable is equal to true. And once we get the response, we have to make it false. So now we know API call is in progress or not, right? So we can use this variable in our HTML over here at the if block. Okay, so everywhere I'm using control flow statement, but when you are doing it, sometimes use ng for and sometimes use ng also. Okay, don't just use control flow statement. Otherwise, you will forget that. And almost project you are going to work are with the older version. They are not using at the if. They are using ng only. Okay, fine. So see now. PG. Okay. Now if I click on save, API call is in Wait, how come it is not visible? We didn't save or what? Correct only, na? If this is true, we are showing this. Let's try one more time. Once you click on save. No. How come it is not visible? Oh, yeah, you're right. Pattern attribute value is API progress. This is on save user button. On save user, we are making this true, and inside that we are making it false. And same, we are checking it over here. If this variable is true, we are showing this. Let's print it. Okay, so by default it is false. If I click on button, let's debug the code. We are making it true. Okay, now it is visible. I think it was not saved properly. Okay, so once we get the response, that flag is getting false and we are hiding that loader also. Okay, but yeah, so loader is visible, but still we have the issue. Let me show you. So now, once we save and do that thing, loader will be coming. It is working fine. And once we get the response, loader is getting hidden also. Now user will know. But might happen, user is able to click multiple times. See, even though we show loader, some user might click again and again, right? So still we have multiple API call going on. Now how we can restrict this multiple API call? How to avoid this multiple API call?
पॉइंटर इवेंट नल कर सकते हैं सर CSS.
Yeah, we can do this also. What will be the condition to do that? Obviously, we need to write the condition, na? What will be the condition?
NG स्टाइल में हम लोग ट्रू फॉल्स के बेसिस पे ही दे सकते हैं.
Right. So how do we know that API call is in progress? Once the API call is in progress, either we can disable this button, or when we are making the API call, over here we can write the logic saying if this variable is in progress, means this variable is already true. Sorry, if this variable is false, means API call is in non-progress, and this code we have to move it inside this. So see, understand, by default we are making this variable false. Okay, once I click on the button, I'm checking if this variable is false. Okay, by default it is false, so it will go inside. Immediately I'm making this variable true. Again, if I click, this variable is not true unless we got the response. So it will not go inside because we have added the check with the false. So see now. Now it won't go inside. If API call is in progress already, it won't trigger one more API call. Okay, so just see now. Once I
Valid email.
it's valid now. It is saying not invalid. Okay. So once I click on save, I'm clicking multiple time, but see, only one API call is there because currently that check we have added. So we are making this variable false once we receive the response, then only we are making it false, and that is the check we have added. So जब तक ये वेरिएबल फॉल्स नहीं है तब तक हमारा if कंडीशन एग्जीक्यूट ही नहीं होगा, अंदर ही नहीं जाएगा. So by using single variable, we have achieved two things. We have informed the user also that something is happening by showing the loader, और हमने duplicate API कॉल भी बचा लिए.
ये ज्यादा सही है, टीएस से मेंटेन करना ज्यादा सही है।
right?
हम्म।
Understood?
Yes.
First of all, these are not topics in Angular. Is this topics?
नो
Are these topics in
N-
Angular?
नो
No, it's a
They are
logic
just logics.
building.
लॉजिक्स।
Okay. Understood, everyone? Okay. Shall we move ahead? Or anyone have any question? Now, one more small scenario I have to explain.
Sir, this is based on the user click, right? But
Hmm.
sometime, you know, the API calls goes on after 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Uh, Sometimes like to get the new response, right?
Hmm.
If the first we are not getting the response from the first API call,
Hmm.
then automatically in the
That
timer
retry.
trigger the
Retry.
second call, right?
Yeah, RxJS operator is the retry, which will try after some second for particular interval of time.
Yes, in that case, maybe first call we have to cancel, right?
Right. So to
With
cancel it out, we use switch case. Switch case operator we use. Okay. I will explain that.
Okay.
Now, so coming back to CRUD operation, when we say CRUD operation, how many APIs we have to do the CRUD operation?
4 APIs.
create,
APIs.
update, get API and the delete API. But we can have one more API that is
Patch.
get. No, get. Okay. Here it will be. See this API. So we have get all application API, which is responsible to get all the applications. Okay. Then we have create application to create new application, to update application and to delete. We have one more API that is get application by ID. Okay. Let me check if I have the data. Don't have the data. Let me try another. Yeah, employee only. Okay. So get all employee API is responsible to get us all the employee. Okay. Whatever we have. But on click of edit in the table, we have this edit button, right? So on click of edit, we normally what does? We have one more API that is get employee by ID. So here we pass primary key. We will get a single object of that ID. Understood? So when we say CRUD operation can have at least 4 API and max 5 API. Because for edit, sometimes in the get API, if we are getting all the data and in the same component you have the form, then on click of edit, you don't need to make API call. We directly get that object from item, right? But let's say in your get API, you are not getting the whole response. So on click of edit, you will be calling another API, which will be having a parameter of ID, and whatever the primary key you pass, you will get the whole response. This is also one of the API call data. Understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So जो हमने किया था यहाँ पे जैसे मैंने किया कहाँ पे गया बताइए जहाँ पे हमने क्या किया ऑन एडिट पे मैंने पूरा आइटम भेज दिया पूरा फॉर लूप वाला ऑब्जेक्ट और उसको मैंने डायरेक्टली मेरे वेरिएबल में असाइन कर दिया ऐसे बट लेट से तुम्हारे यूजर एपीआई में पूरा डेटा नहीं मिल रहा था तो तुमने क्या किया रहता यू वुड हैव मेक वन एपीआई कॉल्ड get user by id and you would have passed the user id and from there you will have got the api call data so instead of writing like this you would have a api call over here. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
Clear
that's a
everyone?
query parameter, not query string parameter, right?
Yeah, query parameter. Okay. Understood everyone?
Yes.
This is also a scenario. Okay. One more scenario is there, bulk update. What do we mean by bulk update?
When we have to send multiple objects in the API to update multiple records.
See, in add department, we have two post API. This is the first post API. Here, if you see the object, we have single object over here.
Yes.
Okay. Just like that, below that, we have add bulk department. What type of data this API need?
Array of object.
Right? So array of object we need to send. So this is bulk update, means at a time you can create multiple departments. Okay. So for that, our UI will be something different. We cannot use UI something like this, right? Because is there any place where we can pass multiple data?
No,
No,
sir.
it's
We
just a single
only a
Right?
object.
single.
So whenever you have to create or whenever your API is bulk update, means in one go you are going to insert multiple record. So your UI should be like that, where you can pass multiple data in a one go. Okay. Let me create component. And generate component bulk update. Okay. Now over here, what we need to do first, whenever it is bulk update, now you have to show the data also, right? So this is the get API, get parent department. Okay, let's try it out. Execute. So this API is going to return you the array of data, right? So let's make this API call into our component. User list :ini http inject http client. I am writing this over here, but you have to create it in a service. Okay, get users this dot http dot get okay, whatever the data we get, that we have to store inside this variable. We are getting object or array directly. Okay, we are getting object. Okay, see, object we are getting, inside that data we have the array. So this dot user list is equal to res dot data. Okay, now on the page load we need to integrate this API call. So implement on init. Okay, so on the page load we will have the data inside this variable. Now we will create a table. So here we okay, so nothing is there. Fine. So here we will have our T head, TR, TH, serial number, our department name, and what do we have? Logo. Okay. So we have got the T head. After that we need TR. So T body, TR. Inside TD, normally we would print the data, but now instead of TD, we will use text box. Okay, so this is the first serial number. Now we don't need it over here. Let's add the for loop first, @ for loop item dot user list, and this for loop will be inside this. So in first TD we have to show the index. So curly braces index plus 1. Then in second TD, instead of directly showing the data into the interpolation, now we will have text box. Input type text, and here we have to show the data also. So for that we will use ng model. So square bracket, round bracket, ng model. Till now, whatever you know, what we can pass to the ng model? Till now, whatever I have explained, what
Variable.
you can pass to the ng model? Variable only, na? You create a variable and that variable you bind it over here. But it's not like that. You just need a property, right? So item dot, what's that? Department name, you will bind it over here. Okay, we need to import forms
So
model.
we are doing through template driven from this bulk
Yes.
updates.
Yes. One more TD, and here we will bind our department logo. Let's save and check. Okay. Now if I go to the bulk, see, whatever the data I have from the API, that data is visible in my table with editable way. Okay. Now we need a save button or first add button. So first I need a add button plus btn add new. What do we have to do on click of add new? What do we have to do on click of add new?
Sir, we have to push the object in an array.
In the table, we should get another row na, with empty text box.
Mhm.
How
Need
you are
another-
going to add new record, right?
Mhm.
This is existing record. If you have to add one more record, one row should be there na, over here.
Clear table.
So on click of add, how you will add one more row? Because you are iterating it. So in user list, you need to push one more empty object. Okay.
Yeah.
So click
Yeah.
add new. In case of add new, we just have to push empty object to this array. But instead of push, we will use unship because I need it at the top. So this dot user list dot unshipped, and inside that we need to push the object. Object will be same like this. What the object we have? Properties. Department ID will be 0. This will be empty and this will be empty. Or let's make it simplify. New object. I'm creating a local object, local variable, and this variable I will be passing it over here. Okay. So on click of add new, I have created a local object with department ID 0 and another field as empty. And this object I am pushing to my array. Okay. Now if you save, so once I click on add new, see empty text box you got. Now you can add new data. Understood? You are able to add new data.
Unship मैं नहीं समझा सकते हैं.
Unship, see, push, what does push do? At the end of the array, it will add. Unshift, what it will does? At the first. See, if I use push, at the end, we are adding the record. Okay? So that's why
वो
unshift.
किसका है? सर
Okay?
ऐड न्यू पे क्लिक करें तो वहाँ डिपार्टमेंट पे नहीं आए तो वो जो डेटा मैं डालूंगा वो डिपार्टमेंट में जाएगा. कैसे समझ में आएगा कौन से फील्ड का डेटा है?
We bind that ना ng model. Particular field bind किया ना हमने. Okay? Fine. So on click of add new record is getting added into the table. Which user can provide the values also. But it's not going to save to the database. Even if we refresh again, we are going to get the same number of record. So we need to hit this API, that is bulk upload. Okay. So this is post API, and what type of data it needs? Array. Okay. So after this, we will have one more button to bulk upload. Okay. On save all. Let's create this function. Now here we need to call the API call. So this dot http dot post API call. URL will be almost same. Just our method name will get changed. Add bulk department. Copy. Okay. Post API needs the object, but now to this API we have what type of data we have to pass? Array. So this array we have to pass user list dot subscribe result colon. Okay. Let's save and check. So currently we just have 5 record. Okay. Let's say I clicked on new department name marketing. One more department sales. Okay. Now just pay attention. Once I click on bulk upload, API call is success. In the response, in the object, we are passing whole object, whole array. Okay. Now even if we refresh, we will get same number of record. Understood? This is bulk upload. At the time we are creating multiple records. Understood everyone? So we
Yes.
can pass array also over here directly. समझा सबको? जब भी हमें बल्क अपलोड, अगर तुम्हारे एपीआई का रिस्क ऑब्जेक्ट उसको क्या चाहिए? अरे चाहिए, तो हमारा यूआई ऐसा कुछ रहेगा जहाँ पे हम मल्टीपल डेटा ऐड कर सकते हैं, या फिर मल्टीपल अपना फॉर्म भी रहता है, वो रिएक्टिव फॉर्म के टाइम पे बताऊंगा मैं, बट दिस इज द सिंपलेस्ट वे. अब इसको क्या कहते हैं? इनलाइन एडिटिंग. टेबल के टेबल में ही मैं डेटा एंटर कर सक रहा हूँ, इसको बोलते हैं इनलाइन एडिटिंग.
सर एनजी मॉडल के केस में इनपुट के अंदर वैल्यू में कुछ डालने की जरूरत नहीं, डायरेक्टली चला जाता है वो.
नहीं ना, एनजी मॉडल का यूज ही क्या है? यहाँ पे जो
बाइट.
प्रॉपर्टी है वो टेक्स्ट बॉक्स के असाइन हो जाएगी. इस वेरिएबल में जो भी वैल्यू है वही असाइन हो जाएगा ना, वैल्यू क्यों यूज करोगे फिर?
फिर वैल्यू अलग से यूज करने की जरूरत नहीं है.
नहीं.
ठीक.
क्लियर है सबको?
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is also not a topic. This is also logic. Okay. And for update also. See, the benefit of it. For update, you don't need to do anything. So the first record, see, X hyphen is there. Now I'm changing it to RRR. If I click on bulk upload, API call is success. Even if I refresh, see, data got updated. So my API is written like that. If you pass department ID, if the department ID is there, see, you are passing the array of object, right? So in my API, what I'm doing, I'm checking if department ID is 0, I'm creating new record. If department ID is there, I'm updating the existing record. Let me show you. Project API, complaint API. I'm just going to show you the API. So तुम जब ऑब्जेक्ट में आईडी अगर 0 भेजते हो तो आई विल बी क्रिएटिंग न्यू रिकॉर्ड. अगर आईडी एग्जिस्टिंग है तो आई विल फाइंड दैट रिकॉर्ड एंड आई विल अपडेट इट. ओके. सो सिंगल एपीआई बल्क अपलोड में अपडेट के लिए अलग एपीआई और सेव के लिए अलग एपीआई नहीं रहती. रह भी सकती है, एपीआई डेवलपर के ऊपर डिपेंड रहता है, वो सेम ही एपीआई में दोनों काम भी कर सकता है. ओके. तो कंप्लेंट कंट्रोलर, ओके, देखो ये एपीआई मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, फॉर लूप लगा रहा हूँ. जो तुम्हारे भेज रहे हो ना, देख रहे हो लिस्ट ऑफ, वही इस एपीआई का पैरामीटर क्या है? मल्टीपल ऑब्जेक्ट, अरे ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट. सो मैं फॉर लूप लगा रहा हूँ, जैसे अपने उधर फॉर है, यहाँ पे फॉर इच लूप है, वेर आइटम इन दिस, सेम कंसेप्ट है, राइट? वहां पे फॉर है, लेकिन अंदर का देखो ऑलमोस्ट सेम है। यहाँ पे वेर है, वहां पे अपन लेट लिखते थे। ओके, सो मैं फॉर लूप लगा रहा हूँ, पहले चेक कर रहा हूँ कि अगर डिपार्टमेंट आईडी 0 है, उसमें भी मैं चेक कर रहा हूँ कि डिपार्टमेंट ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्ट है कि नहीं। अगर नहीं है तो मैं नया रिकॉर्ड क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ ऐड से। अगर डिपार्टमेंट आईडी 0 नहीं है तो एल्स में जाएगा, और मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, अपडेट का लॉजिक है मेरा। ओके, सो तुम्हारे सिंगल एपीआई में ऐड और अपडेट एट द टाइम हो रहा है। अंडरस्टूड?
यस सर।
ओके, किसी को कुछ डाउट है? अब सो अपना बेसिक जितना नॉलेज तुमको मिला है, उतने नॉलेज से तुम प्रोजेक्ट पे काम कर सकते हो क्या? या फिर एक छोटा सा अगर मैंने प्रोजेक्ट दिया तो कर सकते हो?
यस सर।
देखो, प्रोजेक्ट कोई भी रहे, क्या करते अपन प्रोजेक्ट में? एपीआई कॉल ही करते। ऑब्जेक्ट चेंज होते, प्रॉपर्टी चेंज होते, हमारा एपीआई कॉल ही रहता है। इवन इफ इट्स अ बैंकिंग एप्लीकेशन, इंश्योरेंस, लॉजिस्टिक, ई कॉमर्स, कुछ भी रहे, एपीआई कॉल ही करते हैं अपन। ओके, तो अभी एक एम्प्लॉय वाली एप्लीकेशन करना है। ये नहीं, और कुछ है क्या? इसी करें। ये थोड़ी सी बड़ी है, इसलिए मैं ये अवॉइड कर रहा हूँ। ठीक, यूट्यूब का कर लो। ओके, सबसे लास्ट में यूट्यूब वीडियोस, प्रोजेक्ट एपीआई जीरा वाले सर्वर पे। ओके, so now what we have to do here, if you see, we have three different modules. First, user registration is there. User module, basic CRUD. Okay, the login API is also there. Add user, or even if you forget, don't do this. Okay, start with the remaining thing. But if you need to add the like, you need this. Okay, or this will be website kind of structure. Logging I have not explained, right? Hmm. Okay, let's do the employee only. So it's a big project, but don't complete everything. Okay. So it's a simple employee management application. Now, when we have to create the employee, this is master kind of data, department and everything. You don't need to do it. Okay. Directly start from the employee, creating employee. If you see the create employee object, here you need department ID. Okay. Now department ID is a foreign key, but if you see, we have two types of department. This is parent department, and again we have child department. So here you will have to do the dependent drop down. Means first on the page load you need to show the parent department. Once you change the department, then you have to show the child department. Will it be hard, or you will be able to manage? The repay is also not there, which is straightforward. Let me find another. Okay, let's do this. It's very easy one, or you can do this also. So they are on miniprojectapis.com. APIs are there. Okay, employee leaves. So here you can see we have role API and department API. These are master API because in create employee, you will need the role ID and the department ID. See, department ID and role you are going to need. So department you will get from this API. Okay. You will call this API, whatever the department you have, that you will showcase in the dropdown. Okay. Then role is a string only. Okay. You get an array of string. It's not ID key value pair data. Okay. So it just when you create the employee form, here dropdown will be there, but that dropdown data either you can showcase the hard code also or you can use the API also. But department ID you cannot hard code. You have to call the API. Whatever the departments are there, that you need to show. Okay. So first you will create the employee. Inside that employee, you need to call the department API so that department dropdown will be visible. Employee creation will be done. Login you don't have to do the login. Okay. Once employee is created, then you will be able to add a leave. So in add leave, you can see employee ID will be there as a foreign key. Okay. So in add leave form, you need to show the employee dropdown. So again, employee module and the leave module. That's it. These two things you need to do. In leave, again, you don't have update and the delete. You just create the leave and get all leave. These APIs are there, but again, I will explain once we are completing the login. So you have to create the employee and create the leave. Only 2 pages you have to do. Understood?
Yes, sir.
सब समझा है सबको? देखो, 2 एपीआई है, गेट ऑल रोल और गेट ऑल डिपार्टमेंट. गेट ऑल रोल में तुम्हें स्ट्रिंग का अरे ही मिल रहा है. ओके. और गेट डिपार्टमेंट में तुम्हें लगे तो प्रॉपर डेटा मिल रहा है अरे ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट. ओके. सो जब तुम एम्प्लॉय का फॉर्म बनाओगे, रोल में एक तो तुम स्टैटिक खुद का भी अरे ले सकते हो या फिर टेक्स्ट.
तो वॉइस नहीं आ रहा है आपका. I think we got a message in the group. You can leave, I think.
Class is over, right?
Thanks. Yes, we got a message. We can leave the group.